At the Pietermaritzburg police station, where former President Jacob Zuma has laid a charge against the prosecution team leader, Billy Downer. We're going to cross over to my colleague, Ayanda Mhlongo.
All right. Nompu, a very good afternoon to you and good afternoon to our viewers. Yes, seeing there in your visuals is former President Jacob Zuma. He is not yet leaving the police station. He has not yet concluded his business of the day. As we know, of course, he's here to open a case against state prosecutor in his criminal case, the lead prosecutor, Advocate Billy Downer. We just told that he's just going to one office and he is going to then go back to the station commissioner's office to finish off on this case that he is opening here at the Pietermaritzburg police station here in Loop Street in the Pietermaritzburg CBD. So his business of the day is not yet concluded. Of course, as we did say earlier on, that there is going to be a media briefing outside this police station by the Jacob Zuma Foundation. The former president is accompanied by the spokesperson of the foundation, Mzwanele Manye. One person that we did miss earlier on was his daughter, Duduzile Zuma. She is also here with her father. It does not seem that we could not see whether or not any of his legal team, his attorneys, are present with the former president. Camera people were only given a very short opportunity to go into the station commissioner's office just to get visuals of the former president, and the journalists were asked then to remain outside. So there is, in the office where the former president has been meeting with the police, opening this case, there are several people that are inside that room, but we have not yet been able to identify all the people who are here who are accompanying the former president. As we know, of course, that this charge is linked to Zuma's claim that Advocate Billy Downer leaked information about his current state of health to the media. This was raised during former President Jacob Zuma's special plea application, in which he's seeking the recusal of state prosecutor Advocate Billy Downer. These details surrounding former President Jacob Zuma's concern with the conduct of Advocate Downer was raised in an affidavit that the former president submitted to the Pietermaritzburg High Court. And as I said, there we see former President Jacob Zuma going back to the station commissioner's office to conclude the charge that he is laying here today. Outside, of course, there is a few people that have gathered outside the police station with placards saying Downer must be arrested. About 5 or 6 people that are outside, the supporters of former President Jacob Zuma. We also saw one of the organizers of the support for the former president, Nkosi Njashezi. He is also here leading that group of supporters of the former president. Apart from that, there is no crowd that have gathered outside this police station. There was of excitement, though I must mention, when the former president Jacob Zuma arrived, and the members of the public that were queuing outside the police station, and not here in connection with what the president is doing, but there was cheers when they saw him arrive, many shouting Zuma, Zuma, and he then, as always, waving back to them. So a very small group of people that are here, but we will wait. Once the former president is done with the case, he will then, what we do not know at this point, I must mention, is whether or not he is going to address the media briefing. Of course, we do know that it will be handled by his spokesperson of the foundation, Jimmy Manye, but at this point it remains unclear whether or not former President Jacob Zuma himself will address that media briefing, and there we'll get an opportunity to get more details as to the reasons behind former President Jacob Zuma now opting to open this case. Of course, we know that in just a few days, in fact on the 26th, next week, Tuesday, the judge in the matter in his trial, Judge Pete Kuhn, is expected to hand down judgment in the special plea application to decide whether or not he agrees with the arguments that have been fought by by former President Jacob Zuma's law attorneys during the special plea application that indeed Advocate Billy Downer should be removed from the case. That is going to take place on Tuesday, where the Pietermaritzburg High Court will then hand down its judgment. And so we will pose questions to why they then, the foundation, former President Jacob Zuma rather, why he then has decided to open this case. He had indicated, as I said earlier on, in the affidavit that had been filed in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, that he was going to take a further action against Advocate Billy Downer. We do know that he also wrote to President Cyril Ramaphosa complaining about what he termed a breach of prosecution policy and the code of ethics by the National Prosecuting Authority. That matter that letter was sent to President Cyril Ramaphosa. He then responded to former President Jacob Zuma, saying that he was then going to refer his complaint to the Department of Justice. It's unclear at this point how far the investigation by the Department of Justice into the complaints that have been raised by the former president, but we should be able to get those answers today from the foundation as to where that matter is and why they then decided to, why former President Jacob Zuma has decided to open a case before even hearing what the judge is going to rule in that matter. Should the judge rule in his favor, it could mean that Advocate Billy Downer will then have to recuse himself from the case. But the NPA has been firm in saying that they're going to defend Advocate Billy Downer, saying that the accusations that have been raised by a former president made against Advocate Billy Downer have no merit, and that some of the arguments that he's raised with regards to information leaking with regards to Advocate Billy Downer having colluded with his political adversaries, the estate has been clear, saying that that is nothing new. This is information that has been raised previously during the permanent stay of prosecution application in 2019, where former President Jacob Zuma was seeking to get the charges against him dropped. Of course, he was unsuccessful in that matter. So we'll then wait to hear, once we have concluded his business of the day here, whether or not he is going to then speak to us. But certainly if he doesn't, we will then be able to get the foundation to answer questions around his decision to come to this police station to lay this charge against Advocate Billy Downer just days before the Pietermaritzburg High Court is expected to rule in the special plea application, where he is seeking the recusal of Advocate Billy Downer. Mumpo?
Ayanda Mhlongo there, covering that story around former President Jacob Zuma, which has many moving parts.